Oh, no, 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 no. Oh, frustrating! It looks like eggs can probably be musical instruments. Today's video is sponsored by Fetch Rewards. Scan receipts, earn points, and redeem for gift cards. Check the link down below and use the code NERDYCRAFTER for 4,000 points when you scan your first receipt. Hey Greens, if there's one thing I can definitely pride myself on, is the fact that I've been using resin and doing tutorials about resin way before it was cool. Now it's like all the cool kids want to do resin. So today I want to look at 5-Minute Crafts videos about resin, try some of them, but also comment on some of them that are very inconsistent. And then for the pièce de résistance, I actually want to try one of their clickbait thumbnails of making resin inside an eggshell. Look at that thumbnail that they used. It is absolutely beautiful. It is absolutely clickbait because it doesn't show up anywhere in their video. However, you and we're gonna try it. For those of you who don't know resin, there are two main types. There's the epoxy resin, which is a 2-type resin you mix up and you can make really big, awesome projects with it. And then there's UV resin, where you can make smaller projects, but at the same time, you don't have to wait 8 hours like the epoxy resin. It basically hardens with either sunlight or UV flashlights. And when it hardens, it goes from a liquid to a glassy type plastic. I've made so many really fun and cool projects and effects with it, so if you have used resin, let me know down below. And if you haven't, is it because you're intimidated, or it's just not something that you want to dabble with? You just want to watch other people do it. By the way, for those of you new to this channel, don't forget to subscribe. I do a lot of crazy things on this channel and I publish twice a week. Click on all notifications while you're there. And so for this video, we're going to be looking at 28 colorful crafts from epoxy resin by 5-Minute Crafts. The thumbnail for this is an absolutely gorgeous ice cube. Well, it's not the ice cube tray that's gorgeous, it's the flowers, gorgeous flowers in an ice cube tray with resin being poured on it. But, similarly to almost every single video by 5-Minute Crafts, we are being clickbaited because the project on the thumbnail is not the project that is being made. At least not in the way that they're showing it. Because as we can see, the first project that they are making is basically epoxy resin, putting in some flowers, letting it harden overnight, basically about 8 hours, and then using it as earrings. But as everything that 5-Minute Crafts does, we really don't get a sense of how they made it into earrings. But do they look cute? Yeah, sure. Minus the fact that when they zoom in, there's a really huge, I mean, look at it. It is gigantic air pocket. I don't know how they managed it because the flowers were technically on top. Where'd it come from? And then we're doing the same thing. I know these are technically ice cube trays, but they're so misleading. They could also be mold for chocolate. That's a lot of glitter. Again, with the flowers and putting in with the leaves, and we're using it as magnets. Of course, they're not gonna tell us how they use it as magnets, and at the same time, I don't see the magnet. Where's the magnet? Huh? Just so you're aware, resin is pretty heavy, which means that in order to use it as a magnet, you really need to have a really strong one. Otherwise, it's just gonna do. That's my sound effect of something falling. Where do these sound effects come from? So if you do intend on making any kind of resin magnet, make sure that you do have strong magnets. Okay, now we're taking resin, colorant. Now what? What are we doing? I love these triangle molds. Some amazing crafters use it on Instagram and they make some really cool effects with it. What are they going to do? So they're using UV light. Oh no! They're not even using the proper resin for this mold. Normally, if you're going to use silicone mold, you need a silicone mold type resin or epoxy resin. You can see that it's completely warped and wonky. I mean, look, if we try to do a straight line from one end of the other, we're getting absolutely wonky lines. You know what? I bet however they're going to show it to us is going to be the polished version, but I have to tell you right away that this is not the polished way to do it. Oh no! Even the pyramid looks all wonky. Oh, pyramid. My people are not proud. My Egyptian heritage. Look at all these beautiful pyramids. They were not wonky. And yet, 5-Minute Crafts.
You have shamed me with this type of pyramid.
Oh no! I can't. They didn't even have the decency when making a video to at least sand the bottom part of this project so that it's a flat bottom, so that it sits properly. Oh wait, is that leakage? Oh, so if we look on the side of the pyramid, you're going to see that there's some kind of leaking that happens right here. which means that because they used UV resin, it didn't harden enough and it became liquidy. So when they unmolded it, part of it leaked down, so they had to harden it with more light. Immediately, this project is pretty much a fail. Or possibly because of all the shrinking, there could have been, again, more leakage because there was too much space. And then we see the other pyramid over there, again, wonky, but that's most likely because there's the light underneath, but they still could have sanded it to make it better. And I'm seeing a lot of air pockets. So they're obviously not doing this right. So by now you basically have a good idea of the type of projects that they're making. Okay, this I'm excited about, and this I want to try. So it seems like for this project, we're taking a chip, dunking it inside resin. Oh, I am pausing quite a bit because this is extremely fascinating and disturbing at the same time because it's just misleading. If we go back here, they dunked the entire chip, and when they lifted it up, it is drizzling. Look at the amount of drizzle for the resin because it is a liquid and we just dunked it in. And even when they're moving it to the side, it's still absolutely just oozing with resin. However, when they bring it onto the UV light, it's already hardened, it's not dripping. Someone already cured it off camera. So my guess is they may have already cured it on top of another vial. Realistically speaking, dragging any kind of resin like this is going to make an absolute mess. And not just that, but let's zoom in a little bit more on the tweezers, because how are we going to hold resin and not have it harden onto the metal? So unless there's special tweezers, this is going to be interesting. We're going to actually test this one out. And then after hardening it, I mean, it's already hardened under there. They used it as earrings. You know what? They are cute though. Not my aesthetic, but if someone wants to wear these, heck yeah. All right, let's get us some chips and some resin. Who would have thought chips and resin went together? Is there enough chips in here? Sometimes plain chips is the best chips. So I'm going to be using a silicone mat in order to protect our surface, but I don't want huge pieces like this, except if they're going in my mouth. Perfectly salty, but not
Saltier than me!
because I'm going to use this tiny container in order to dunk our piece inside. The reason I'm doing that is because I want to make sure that I'm not wasting too much resin, and I don't want to waste materials. Actually, what are they doing it in? Holy carp! Oh no! If we look at the video, they're actually dunking the chip inside a bowl of resin. It's a glass container, which means that unless they really cleaned it up with some kind of goo remover or some kind of industrial cleaner, this bowl is finished. They just made extra waste for no reason. Whereas using a silicone type material, you could just harden the resin and get rid of the resin, but your container is reusable. So we're gonna make itty bitty earrings. We're not gonna make any big ones. We're just gonna see if it works. But also there's no way in heck am I going to use my good quality tweezers in case they actually do just go bad. So instead I'm going to use a toothpick and hope that I can make a tiny hole right through, or maybe even kind of like chopsticks, and just hold it like this. No. So I'm going to be using the UV resin that is from Sophie and Toffee. I know there's a Cinderella on there, but that's because it came in a special edition box. And here's our pour. I really think this should be enough. So first things first, let's see if we can get a toothpick inside a piece of chip without doing too much damage. Very gentle, like a little drill. There we go. Look at that. And I think by preparing a hole over here might actually make it easier for us to be able to put it as an earring. I don't know. Here's my silicone mat, and we gonna dunk it. Oh, chip. Oh, chip. Just gonna put the chip in, turn it around. I'm sorry, little chip. It's okay, you're being preserved forever now. This is where it gets tricky. So look at all this droopiness. Can we tap it? We're getting somewhere. I'm just gonna tap one last time. Oh my god. Here's our chip. Here's our UV light. Oh my god, no! Don't contaminate. And on. And now we wait for a minute. And our 1 minute is up. Here's a closer look at our resin-covered chip. I never actually thought I would put a chip inside resin, but the outside is coated, but I can still feel the texture of the chip itself. Let's see if we can make any kind of sound. I do feel the texture though. Some of the spots, there you go. You can see some of the potato come right on my nail. Do not judge my nails. So one coat is definitely not enough. And the sides don't seem to have gotten any kind of coating because I can still scrape some of the potato right off. But does it work? Yeah, but I'm probably going to have a hard time removing this piece of wood. We might be lucky. Okay. There you go. So we have also enough clearance in order to put the thing there, the findings for the earrings. However, I would highly encourage you grains to do 2 coats. Otherwise, it's just going to definitely attract the wasps right to your ears. Guarantee. So this DIY does work, but not in the way they show it. So make sure you really remove as much resin as possible before going in for round 2. Bye-bye. All right, for the next project, we are again, it seems like we're taking epoxy resin this time and putting flowers. Generally speaking, we're supposed to put flowers facing down. Okay, so they did it for the second one, but for the first one, for some reason, they put it on the wrong side, which is weird and interesting. So let's see what it looks like unmolded. Oh, is it me? Or did they reverse the flower? It seems like the purple flower is the right side up now. Very mysterious. Again, cute. Yes, the thumbnail is flowers inside a ice cube mold, but we're getting flowers, we're getting molds. I guess that's as good as it gets for 5-minute crafts. Okay, that's a nice ring, but what? Okay, what was the point of this scene? We're just seeing someone with a ring, but then we're going to a cabinet. Is the cabinet the ring? No, I guess not. Okay, so we're using oh, no. This is, frustrating! We're using UV resin in a muffin mold, but the issue is UV resin is made for transparent molds. So normally when we're using UV resin, in order for the light to be absorbed and actually harden the mold should be looking like this. Here are a few. Most of the ones I end up getting are from Sophie and Toffee, not sponsored, but they really do have the best molds for UV resin. However, when it comes to epoxy resin, you can basically put it in any kind of silicone mold because we're not looking at light to be absorbed into it. And you can see the shrinking. Let's play that back. And it's not even shrinking in the right places. It'll mostly start making a dome, which will mean that the bottom part will still be uncured. Generally speaking, the timer on this kind of light is about 1 minute. And you know what? I really want to try this. I'm pretty sure I have muffin molds like this, so we're going to give this one a try. All right, so they're putting glitter. Those are rocks. More UV resin, and we're putting the UV light. Again, it's shrinking, and I really don't think that this is going to work this way. Look, okay, look at them remove the resin from the mold. They're just removing it. When they're taking it out of the mold, they're not unmolding it. They're just pulling it straight out, which leads me to believe that this has been done in 2 different ways, one in UV resin and one in epoxy resin. And the final result that they're showing us is in fact the epoxy resin. So the one they showed on camera is in fact the fake one. You know what? You know what time it is. Makey. I don't know why I'm doing this for making things, but that's what we're gonna do. Here is my muffin mold, and it is much smaller than the one they used because it seems like the one they used is a little bigger, maybe double the size. So we're working with smaller quantities. So if it does work, there really is no excuse. Again, let's look. When they speed it up, it looks like it's the same idea where the timer is 1 minute, and they did do 2 layers. Why was that so hard to say? They did do 2 layers. See, that wasn't so hard. All right, let's put our resin. Basically, the idea of this experiment is to see how well the resin is going to actually cure in a mold that is not transparent within 1 minute. There we go. And that seems about right. And down goes our light, and 1 minute. So we can see that the actual resin is in fact shrinking as it should be. But holy sugar snaps, look at that. Look at the amount of bubbles it's causing. This does not look good at all. And the timer came off, and oh my god, that looks absolutely terrible. Look, you see? Right under there, we can see the resin still moving. Despite the fact that it got the exact same time, it warped, it is absolutely wonky. We're still going to go ahead and add the second layer, and just to be generous, I'll add more time. But those timers are 1 minute. Oh, it's true, they put glitter. Here's the glitter. And there we go, some nice glitter. I know I'm adding glitter like some kind of weirdo, but if we look at their video again, they're just putting the decoration right on top. They're not mixing it into the resin. They're just putting it there and letting it be. And there goes our second layer. Oh, grains, this warp is terrible. It is gross. It is disgusting. It's just gonna end up warping more. And here's our light again. We're going to watch it in real time do its shrinking and its warping. As you grind, there you go. And let's bring the brightness a little lower. and there goes the light. And this does not look good at all. You can see the air bubbles up here still moving. And even if we were to give it more time, it will 100% still have major air bubbles and extreme warping. This is not the kind of resin nor the kind of mold in order to make this kind of project. I am 100% convinced that they used epoxy resin on the side, made a completely different mold, and then presented to you. Because look how easily it came out of the mold. That doesn't happen. Let's put it for 1 extra minute. Before I do that, you have to know, it's still liquidy. Look at that air bubble. You look at that. Yes. So I'm not gonna take it out. You know it didn't work. We're gonna keep it under there for an extra maybe minute or two, and then I'll take it out so you can see the amount of damage this kind of mold does to this resin. While we wait, it's the perfect time to tell you Grains about today's sponsor, Fetch Rewards. For those of you who don't know, Fetch Rewards is an amazing app that you can scan your receipt, and it is really easy. All you have to do is take a picture, and the app is going to turn your purchases into points. And based on these points, you can redeem them for gift cards in so many different categories. I mean, look, there's art, entertainment, and even media, where you can get iTunes gift cards and even something from the PlayStation Store. And if you're feeling extra charitable, they also have a charity section where you can redeem your points for a good cause. Fetch will literally work with any retail receipt, whether it's stores or restaurants or merchants. And it's not only applicable to actual physical stores, but also online shopping. And the good thing about Fetch is that it is free to use. But that's not all. As you can see in real time, it is quick, easy, and if you have multiple receipts, you can just take multiple pictures and they will put it together. And the reward options are vast. I also forgot to mention Amazon and Visa gift cards. So why not check it out? You brains know that I love for you to save money, and this is just one way to make sure that your money stretches even further. So check the link down below and use the code NERDYCRAFTER and get 4,000 points when scanning your first receipt. But, there's also another limited time offer, which is only until March 14th, where Fetch is running a promo where you can win up to 1 million points. It's called the Brand Bracket Challenge, and you can enter right now. Just pick which brand you think is going to outsell the others, and you run a chance of winning 1 million points. Thank you so much, Fetch, for sponsoring today's video. So this is after an extra 3 minutes. Still very liquidy at the bottom. Look at that. But you know what? Let's go ahead and pop it right out so you grains can have an idea. The amount of warping that happened. Oh no! No, my felt! No! Ah, the things we do for art. Sacrifice. Really like that piece of felt too. Okay, well, this is ruined. So as I was trying to show you, the warping made it so that we have huge crevices and holes a little bit of everywhere. Look at that. The resin just wasn't getting enough light from all directions. So this is absolutely doomed to happen. Look how gross it is. So it just basically lifted. There's no way we can get that kind of effect. Look at the end result in the video, unless we were using epoxy resin or the correct kind of mold and resin. So they didn't do it right because they used UV resin in a non-transparent mold. So this DIY is definitely absolutely bogus. So it goes
In the trash.
And you know what? It's not like the main one that they used broke. It was just unscrewed, and now they're just rescrewing it again. I don't know why. They really wanted new handles. They could have just done it. You don't need to necessarily do the oops infomercial. My thing broke because I'm clumsy and it's absolutely fixable, but I want to take the long way around it. Now we're getting a bunch of playing around with rings. Okay, I'm guessing we're gonna make a ring holder, which should be pretty interesting. So we're taking parchment paper, or is that wax paper? I'm going to go out on a limb and say that this should be wax paper, otherwise resin will hold on to it. But I've never tried resin with wax paper. If this works, this would be really interesting. So we're taking the parchment paper, but they didn't show them taping it. Okay, putting it inside a cup, adding flowers, and then pouring the resin directly in there. They didn't show actually, oh, it's UV resin. I'm here trying to catch up to what they're doing, and they're just using UV resin for this? Really? And it just slips right out. I somehow feel very skeptical that UV resin would just slip out of wax paper. But if it works, that would be pretty cool. And yeah, it works as a ring holder. And of course they make all their projects wonky. Look at the one with the leaves. It's just so, it's like, I'm actually really excited to give this one a try, because if it does work, that would be ingenious. I am super hyped for this. Here is my wax paper or parchment paper, maybe. I don't know what they're using. I'm going to guess it is the one I'm using. I'm gonna make a little cone like so. And even though they don't show us taping it or show themselves taping it, I'm going to assume they're taping it because let's look real quick. When they put it into the container, it is pretty stiff. So gotta be a one-person job here. Hang on, I got this. Don't fail me. Okay, just gonna put tape along that line right here, like so. Now I don't have a cute little lavender to put in there, but I do have some Ghosts Pac-Man type glitter things, which I think are cute. And again, unlike them, let's look. They're using a glass jar. We're not doing that. I have my own little silicone cup right here. They just started with the actual flour and just pour the resin and then went ahead and did the UV light. Fairly simple. Let's put our little ghosties first. A good variety of cuties. In you go. I'm not sure how much resin to put, but it seemed like they put quite a bit, but let's not go overboard because we saw what happened when we stack UV resin in a non-transparent mold. However, again, I'm really curious because this is somewhat semi-transparent. So we're gonna just fill it maybe about 1/3 of the way and see what happens. Oh no, this does not look good. The paper looks like it's genuinely getting wet. Let's just keep going. They didn't do any layers, they just threw it right in there. I think just a little more and then we're good to go. And here goes our UV light. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen on the inside of this. It's like a science experiment. I'm just there like Here it is in real time, much more zoomed in. You can see how quickly the bubbles formed and it's getting really foggy. And the light just went off. So what I'm going to do is add an extra minute of light just in case. I really want this to work.
A few minutes later.
All right, so I've given it extra time. Let's see what it looks like on the inside. Oh no. Can you grain see that? There's bubbles that are moving. Look at that. Which means that it hasn't hardened at all, or at least partially hardened. You know what? I still want to try, so I'm going to go ahead and give it 5 minutes. And I'm going to cut this excess off just to make sure that the light is even closer. Off we go. 5 minutes down, and how do we look? I think we're okay. Oh, did that bubble move? Am I imagining things? Oh, nope, definitely that bubble moved. I really wanted this to work. It would have been really neat if we could have had some kind of mold making with wax paper or even with parchment paper. But the fact that we stacked UV resin this much is just way too thick. But I am genuinely curious. Let's look at how they removed it from the mold. Yeah, it just seems to have slipped out. Look at that. So the question is, does it just come out? No. Next question, does it stick to the parchment paper? And the answer is somewhat. You can actually unmold it. That is really good. So it means technically with epoxy resin, you can use parchment or wax paper. This is interesting. Just not the right material for UV. Actually, let's see how far we can get before it starts leaking. Oh, wow. Oh, that is cute. So it definitely hasn't hardened. We're getting some leakage right here. But if we take the light to it immediately, we can get some really cool, let's get this leak. We could probably get some really cool effects on the inside. So this is an interesting effect because there's still bubbles. Look at that. There's still a resin bubble on the inside. You don't want to keep it anywhere where it could technically burst because that means resin is going to go everywhere and it's absolutely toxic to everyone, including your pets. But it is kind of cute, but I would still say that this craft hack would go
in the trash.
With UV resin, but with epoxy resin, you could probably get some really cool results. What are we making this time, 5-minute crafts? We're getting more resin, more food colorant, and a heck of a lot of sprinkles. Okay, we're making some cute brushes. These are really tiny though. It seems like it is. Okay, so as they are unmolding it, it is about this big. So it could work for a human, but probably more likely for your pet. So what are they gonna use it for? Okay, what? That is a big Barbie. Did the size change? I'm so confused. It was like this big, but now it's only as big as a Barbie's hand, which is about this big. And we had it about this big. Do you see the difference? So they're taking us for a ride. They're just putting us in a car, taking us all the way for a ride. 5-minute crafts, masters of clickbait. And basically the remainder of the video are very regular type projects. but they are well known for recycling their videos into different videos. In this case, we can see that it goes from regular projects that everyday people can make with molds up until projects that require a lot of power tools. So you need a lot of skills to make them. I wouldn't even venture there because I don't have tool area or anything like that, so they're not for people who don't have that space. But if you grains really are into projects that are more or less power tool type with resin, these are interesting, but again, they're not unique. Most of these have been recycled and some of the ideas have been stolen from other creatives who were the original ones. However, I do have to warn you because now we're getting into territory that is a little more dangerous. Let's look at this next project where they take a mold of a spoon, use UV resin. Again, this mold is not the right one. And then they're using this spoon in order to, let's pause it here. They're using it to stir coffee is what I'm guessing because it is leaning on a coffee mug. Do not use resin in your foods. Don't use it to make tools that you're going to cook with. This is a toxic material that you do not want to ingest inside you. So this is absolutely dangerous. This craft should have come with a warning and a health risk that this should not be done. So please, if you see anyone making any resin type of things in order for you to use it on your food, nay, unless it absolutely says non-toxic resin, don't do it. And now for the crème de la crème, the pièce de résistance, the centerpiece. Ah, yes. The egg. Let's put you down ever so gently, upside down. Like so. So even though in the video that 5-Minute Crafts shows us, they really don't do anything with a single egg in that actual video. So it is my job to fix it. I have no idea if this is even possible, if the resin is just going to stick to the egg. I don't know. We're in this together. We gonna find out. But in order to do this right, we gotta take out what's inside. And I have to admit, I kind of left this egg out for like a day or two. There's no way whatever's on the inside is going to be eaten, so I want to be as gentle as possible. Oh no, it chipped. Okay, let's try going more gently. Maybe the chip isn't too bad. So far so good. We just need a space big enough to get it out. So note to self, don't go like twisties. Definitely just go pecking, how a chick would do it. That should be big enough, I hope. And now the question is, how the heck does this come out? Do we just slosh it around? Oh, there we go. So snooty. Come on, you got this. Ew.
One eternity later.
Alright, now that all the yolk is out, I guess there was no way for me to eat it because there's just eggshells everywhere and I am grossed out by eggshells. I'm going to go ahead, wash this out and dry it up. So here it is all washed up. The only way I know how to dry the inside is I'm going to use a I always want to say toothpick. Are there any words that you grains mess up? I don't know why. They just sound the same to me. Okay, so this side came out pretty wet, so let's do the other side. And we have to be very delicate because it is an egg. And we all know I am not exactly the most delicate person ever. And this side is kind of dry. But just to be sure.
A few moments later.
As the hairdryer was blowing at her inside, this is what I heard. It looks like eggs can probably be musical instruments. So if anyone is curious, the answer is yes. You can make a musical instrument out of an egg. You probably can make little holes and you could play it. That's cool. I didn't think of that. I was thinking more like the bottles. You know when you blow into bottles and they make that? That's what I was thinking. Completely out of topic. In order to give this the best chance possible, we're going to have to use epoxy resin, which is the 2-part A and B, and we let it harden overnight. So when we mix equal parts of part A, part B, stir it up really well, we can add our colorant of choice. And for this purpose, since we want to make a rainbow, I'm going to go ahead and use the primary colors and just pour them in at different times. Hopefully the ones at the edges end up mixing up, so we should ideally get a gradient. Now that we have all of our resin all mixed up, I'm going to pour in the order of blue, yellow, red, and then see if we have any space, then I'll just just kind of do a mishmash to see as best as gradients as we can get. All right, don't panic. We're gonna put this as standing up as possible and easy. No double pour. I have no idea what the milliliter is of an egg, so I'm going to estimate. Maybe this is enough. I have no idea what I'm doing. Someone help. So far, so good. I think we can move on to yellow. It really helps having a toothpick to guide the actual color so that you don't miss the actual hole. Am I okay? Can't tell. This is really hard to see. Where's my yellow? Okay, I'm just gonna keep pouring more. I'm gonna hope that there's room to explore. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm really worried now. Let's go ahead and put a little bit more yellow and red. Oh my god. I really hope I'm not just creating brown at this point. I really don't want that. I think the egg is about half full. So I'm just gonna go ahead, put the rest, well, most of red, and then we're gonna start back again with blue. I don't know what's going on. Let's just do it. I wonder if I can angle the egg a little. Maybe we could go this way. Is this too much? Is it too little? I don't know. Now I'm going to mix the colors up. I'm gonna put red and then yellow again. Yellow time, and back to blue. I feel like blue is definitely gonna be the dominant color in here. Oh my god, I don't think we have enough. Okay, I'm gonna mix another quick batch of yellow and we're gonna put it right on top. If anyone is wondering, it seems like an egg is approximately 90 to 100 mils. That's a lot. It's more than I expected. Once I went ahead and filled up the egg, now we're just gonna wait overnight. Here we are 15 hours later, and we can tell that the resin has fully hardened because look, there we go. That's a really pretty yellow. And let's pull our egg. This is very nerve-wracking. And I have no idea how this is going to work. Oh, okay. Oh. What? This is just peeling right off. I did not, in my wildest dreams, think that the egg would just peel right off. So I think we need a little bit more cracks. Look at that. All right, I'm gonna peel the rest. I might need some help of my tool in case some bits just don't have enough air, but look at that. Wow. Oh my god, we have a beautiful purple over here. I'm glad it's not just brown, but also this part here is giving me just a little bit of a hard time, so I'm going to go in with a bit of a knife. I just don't want to hurt myself, and scrape as much as I can. Off to the trash you go. Now I know it seems very dull, but I think we're going to put some polish. By the way, this is the inner part of the egg and it does come off very easy. I have some sandpaper that is really not rough at all. So I'm just going to scrape whatever we have on the surface. And so as I was sanding, look over here, I thought this was probably some of the egg part, but no, it's an air bubble. Look at that. It's a little on the soft side. So we can't really do much about it. I'm not going to peel it. So let's go ahead and glaze it. And I'm going to use a UV resin. And hopefully this makes the colors come out a little bit more. That's looking pretty good. Not as vibrant as I would have loved it to be. And so here is our egg. I am so happy the way it turned out. I definitely could have done better in terms of colors. Maybe I could have waited for the resin to be a little thicker and then we would have had more defined colors. But I think for a first attempt, it's not so bad. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Don't forget to add me on Twitch, Twitter, and Instagram, and TikTok. If you want to watch the previous experimental video, make sure you check up here. And if you want to watch a crafty video, make sure you check down here. Until then, I will see you grains in the next video.